Hey everyone, time for another Bitcoin update. Since my last video, we haven't really done much. We did have that rate cut and nothing really happened. But what you need to understand is when it comes to macroeconomics, it's not like, something happens in the news and the price goes up and the price goes down. It's normally already priced in. So you could argue that the rate cut when Powell talked about it, I think it was last month, I think Bitcoin was around about here. And he said, look, it's probably the time to cut rates. And you can see the price has gone up. I mean, in terms of percentage, it's gone up, nearly a good 10%. And so it's already priced in. And so what that means is when it comes to big announcements like that, they don't just, unless it's like a COVID style event, they don't just happen. It's kind of expected. And so, yeah, my thoughts on Bitcoin remain the same. I do think things are going to go up. We did have a buy signal the other day, which is good. So yeah, now's a good time to be in the market. But you might have noticed that I've drawn this little green channel here. And I was just playing around with the charts. And if we zoom out, Bitcoin really likes its channels. This is the weekly chart. This goes all the way back to 2010. The green channels are bullish ones. And I haven't drawn too many. I could, draw more and more. But, I just got a little bit bored, to be honest. So you could also draw a green one here. And what you could also draw, you could draw a little bearish one here. And normally when you just copy and paste these, you find that they do kind of play out. And so what this shows is that you can use support and resistance to trade Bitcoin. And I do teach support and resistance. It is a good technique. It's a long-term technique. It's not really suitable for scalping or day trading or even a 4-hour chart. I mean, you can, but I just wouldn't recommend it. There's better ways if you want to trade that way. And so if you notice, it goes up in a green channel and then that trend line breaks and then it goes down, then it goes up, then down, and then it goes on an uptrend, an even higher uptrend here, then it goes down again. And it keeps on doing this. I mean, this is 2013 still. Uptrend, downtrend, uptrend, downtrend. Uptrend, that was a bull market. Downtrend, that was a bear market. Right now, we are in a long-term uptrend. We haven't really had a long-term uptrend like that for a long time now. So, yeah, I'm not sure how much further this run has to go, but once this channel breaks, that's when it's probably going to be a bit of a downtrend, and I don't think that's going to happen yet. There's still ways to go here. But you can break this down even further. Like, this is a long-term trend. This is like 2 years. If you go into the 4-hour chart, you can see how that long-term trend line, which is really like this, is broken down into smaller chunks. And so this section here, I know it's not perfect, but it's there or thereabouts, is this over here. And this is why, trading, it can get complicated and you got to pick your style. I don't really like to go lower than the 4-hour. This is a daily chart. And so on this big, like if you're just a macro investor, you would have, really bought in around about here, and then you just be riding this up until, you wait for this trend line to break and it might be around about here. And that's a good healthy trade. You've bought in about 20 something, sold at about 90 something, and the longer this goes, the longer this trend line's going to extend. So, you could really like 6-7 extra money here. When it comes to the short-term ones, you could probably do more than 6-7 times that. I mean, I don't want to go all the way back, but I was just going back to 2020, 2021. And let's just say, for example, you haven't got any Bitcoin and you're waiting for a good entry point. So what you would do is you'd look at some kind of resistance trend like that, and then you would wait. You'd wait for it to break out that, and it did over here, so you'd buy here. And then you would, get some more data and you'll see that there's a trend line here, and you'd wait for that to break, which is around about here, so you'd sell here. And then you would just draw a resistance line. And again, I spent a bit of time before this video making this, so they're not perfect. So if you are doing this in real time, they would be more accurate. But you'd wait for this red trend line to break through and then you'd buy back in. And that would be around about here. So it's not that bad. You sold at 35.5, buying back in at 33. And then you do the same thing that you did down here. you'd get some more data and you'd see a trend line forming and you'd wait for that to break, and it broke over here, and then you'd sell here, and then you do the same again. You get more data or wait for more data, and then you just wait for this to break again, and you'd buy here. And this is how you would trade it. You'd keep buying and selling, and then buying and then selling. And note, when it's some kind of choppiness like this, you're not going to make spectacular trades. I mean, this was the bull market and it was coming to an end, but you can still do well. And you might make 5% rather than 100%. So you've got to be realistic here. But the way this works is you'd sell round about here after that green trend line is broken, and you can see it went down to 30k. And if you're smart, you'd buy back in round about here, and then you would just let it ride. But really, if you were doing this in real time, you'd see that the little mini run over here didn't really last. So you keep on trading within trend lines, and as you get more data, you draw more trend lines and you delete old trend lines. Like as this played out, you can see that this green one wasn't really a good one, so you delete that and you can see, look, this really isn't a downtrend. And so you would have sold round about here, and then you would just wait, and then the next bullish confirmation was round about here when it broke this trend line. And you're buying back in break even, and even if you lose 10%, you got to look at the bigger picture. You're playing the long game. And then you would sell over here, buy over here, and you literally just keep on doing this. So you sold over here 61, and then you're buying back here, and each time you're getting more Bitcoin. This is the beauty of this strategy. It doesn't always work. Sometimes you are going to lose, and that's okay. And over here you might have bought back in round about here, sold over here, and this does work. You just need patience. And the good thing about a strategy like this, you haven't got to be at the charts all day long. You just maybe spend like 10-15 minutes a day and you can do this, but you've got to try and be unemotional. So you sold here, you're buying back in here at 19k, and then you're just riding it up. Like I hope I'm proving my point here. This selling here, buying here. If you play this out at any kind of long-term period, you will win. And this does work. The problem with most people is and I've said this for years, the videos I used to make years ago, people will gamble their rent money in the hope that Bitcoin's going to double in a week, and sometimes it does, but not all the time, unfortunately, or probably fortunately. And so you just gotta, you're selling here and then you're buying back in here. Yeah, you lost a bit there, but if you started back here, you've already tripled your money. Selling here, buying here, and if you zoom in even further now, this is more recent times. You just bought in here at 86, you're selling here at 107, then you're buying back in at 108, selling again around about 115, and then you're buying around about here, and then you're buying around about here, but then you're selling pretty quickly because that trend line didn't really last. And then more recently you would have bought back in over here in about 110, and then now as we get more and more data, we're just waiting to see if this green trend line breaks. And right now I probably would draw another one here, and I'm watching it closely. This could break, and if it definitely breaks this one, then guess what? If you're doing short-term trading, then you sell. And then again, as you get more data, you might have a red resistance line here. But yeah, like this is a good way to trade, and you can definitely multiply your Bitcoin like this. And I would like to caveat that probably the best and easiest way to trade Bitcoin is just buy and hold, because it just keeps on going up. And if you understand mathematics, if you understand the money supply, it will just keep on going up because it's demand and supply. There's a fixed supply, demand keeps going up, and that's only just going to mean one thing for the price. And I was preaching to people this when Bitcoin was here, and I remember I was in Japan with my cousin, and I was just trying to say to him that Bitcoin, it will just keep on going up, and he was like, nope, it's not going to. And we got into a heated exchange, and guess what? He still doesn't have any. But it's all good. Everyone's in their own journey. But anyway, I just wanted to, I know this is a bit of a longer video, but I just wanted to show this, and this is a good way to trade. And yeah, you can see there's a lot of trades there, but it's not, it is relatively simple once you know how to do this, and it's not hard. So yeah, any questions, leave a comment, I'll get back to you. And yeah, if you like this kind of stuff, subscribe for more.